I had always been a night owl, and late-night grocery runs had become part of my routine. Something about the near-empty aisles, the hum of fluorescent lights, and the absence of crowds made it strangely peaceful. That night, it was just past midnight when I pulled into the underground parking garage of Carter's Market, my go-to store for last-minute essentials. It was mid-November, the air crisp and sharp, my breath visible as I stepped out of my car. The garage was mostly empty, save for a few scattered vehicles and the occasional sound of someone pushing a cart toward their trunk. I took my time shopping, grabbing a few frozen dinners, a loaf of bread, and some coffee. Nothing unusual. As I exited the store and made my way toward my car, I heard a voice behind me. "Excuse me, sir, ma'am?" I turned to see a woman, maybe in her late 40s, struggling on a pair of crutches. She was bundled up in a thick coat, her blonde hair tucked under a beanie. "Could you help me?" she asked, slightly out of breath. I hesitated, caught off guard. "Sure, what do you need?" "I think I parked on the wrong level," she said, her voice tinged with embarrassment. "I usually park on level 2, but I can't find my car." I glanced around. The garage wasn't that big, but I could see how someone might get confused, especially late at night. "Yeah, no problem," I said. "I'll walk with you." She smiled, relieved. "Oh, thank you, I feel so silly. My car's an old green Buick. You can't miss it." We made our way up the ramp to level 2, her crutches clicking against the pavement. But as we scanned the rows of cars, there was no sign of a green Buick. "Are you sure this is where you parked?" I asked. She frowned. "Maybe level 3? Something about this felt off, but I didn't want to assume the worst. So I nodded and kept walking with her, unaware of the trap I was walking into. The woman hobbled beside me, breathing heavily, as we climbed to the next level. The garage felt emptier up here. Only a handful of cars, no movement, no sound except the faint hum of the streetlights outside. She sighed. "I swear I parked here. Maybe I got turned around when I came in." I forced a smile. Happens to the best of us. Something gnawed at the back of my mind, though. The way she gripped the crutches a little too easily. The way she never leaned too much on them. It didn't add up. But I wasn't about to accuse a stranger of faking an injury. "Maybe I just need to go outside," she said suddenly. "Sometimes I park in the overflow lot if the garage is full." That meant driving. I hesitated. "I don't want to be a bother," she added quickly, catching my hesitation. I can't walk that far and my phone died. I'd call someone, but..." I sighed. "All right, I'll give you a ride over there." She beamed. "You're a lifesaver." I helped her into my car, placing her crutches in the back. As I started the engine and pulled out of the garage, a strange tension settled in my chest. The roads were eerily quiet as we turned down the narrow side street leading to the overflow lot. "There," she said, pointing. Sure enough, under a flickering street lamp, an old green Buick sat alone in the farthest corner of the lot. Something about its placement felt deliberate. As I pulled up beside it, she reached back for her crutches. "Just give me a sec," she said. Then from the shadows I saw movement. It happened fast. Before I could react, a figure emerged from behind the Buick. A man. He moved with purpose, rushing toward my door. My instincts screamed at me, "Move." I slammed the car into reverse, my tires screeching as I yanked the wheel. The woman in the passenger seat let out a startled gasp. "What are you doing?" I didn't answer, I just stomped on the gas. The man lunged, but I was already backing up, my bumper narrowly missing his outstretched hand. He stumbled, and for the first time I saw his face, bearded, hood pulled up, eyes wild with frustration. The woman beside me cursed under her breath. Gone was the nervous, helpless act. She was pissed. "Stop the car," she ordered, her voice cold and sharp. I gritted my teeth. Not a chance. I twisted the wheel and floored it, peeling out of the lot. I caught a glimpse of the man sprinting after me, but he was too slow. In seconds, I was back on the main road, my heart pounding in my chest. The woman exhaled sharply. "Damn it." She reached for the door handle. I hit the lock button before she could move. "Nice try," I said. Her expression darkened. "Let me out." I drove faster. My mind raced. What was the play here? If I let her out now, would she try something? Did they have backup somewhere? "Who is he?" I demanded. She scoffed. "You ask too many questions." I turned sharply onto a busier road, pulling into a gas station. The bright lights cut through the tension. Other cars. Witnesses. I threw the car into park and unlocked the doors. "Get out." For a second I thought she might argue, but then she simply grabbed her crutches, completely unnecessary now I noticed, and stepped out. She didn't look back as she walked toward the street. She just melted into the darkness, disappearing like a ghost. I grabbed my phone, my hands shaking, and dialed 911. By the time the cops arrived, she was gone. The officer who took my report nodded grimly. "You're not the first to report something like this," he said. "They target Good Samaritans, fake an injury, lead them somewhere quiet, and then..." He shrugged. I shivered. What would have happened if I hadn't driven off? The officer met my gaze. "You don't want to know." I sat in my car, for a long time after that, replaying every moment in my head. The way she had manipulated me so easily. The way I had almost walked right into their trap. Finally, I exhaled and put my car in drive. I had come out of this unharmed, but I knew one thing for sure. I'd never do a late-night grocery run again. I was 9 years old the first time I felt real fear. Not the kind of fear you get from a scary movie or a bad dream. The real kind. The kind that grips your chest and makes your legs feel like they don't belong to you. It was a Saturday afternoon in December, a couple of weeks before Christmas, and the mall was packed. My mom had taken me and my two older sisters, Leah and Cassie, to do some shopping at Dawson's Grocery, a store tucked inside the mall. I remember how the air smelled like cinnamon and roasted nuts from a vendor in the food court. The Christmas decorations hung from the ceiling, and the holiday music played just a little too loudly over the speakers. We had been in the grocery store for a while, and I was getting restless. The aisles felt too tight, the carts too big, and my sisters kept bickering over which brand of cereal to get. At one point, my mom stopped to tie Cassie's shoe near the frozen food section. I wasn't paying much attention. I just wandered a few steps away to look at a display of holiday candies. When I turned back, they were gone. Panic hit me so fast I felt like I couldn't breathe. I spun around, looking down each aisle, expecting to see my mom's long brown coat or hear Leah's voice. Nothing, just strangers. The store had been crowded, but now it felt like a maze, each aisle stretching farther than it should. I called out for my mom, but my voice got swallowed up by the buzz of people shopping. I ran toward the front of the store, my heart pounding in my ears. I stepped out into the mall, hoping to see them near the entrance. Instead, I saw a sea of people, all moving too fast, faces blurring together. That's when she approached me. A woman, maybe in her 40s, dressed in a dark green coat and a scarf. She had a kind smile, the kind adults use when they talk to kids. "Are you lost, sweetheart?" she asked. I nodded, my throat too tight to speak. "Well, let's go find your mom," she said, reaching for my hand. "I think she might have gone outside to look for you." I hesitated. Something about it felt wrong, but I was just a kid and I was scared. I followed her toward the exit. The woman's grip on my hand was gentle but firm. She guided me past the checkout lanes and out of Dawson's Grocery, weaving through the busy mall crowd like she knew exactly where she was going. "I think your mom was just outside," she said over her shoulder. "Maybe she thought you ran to the parking lot." That didn't make sense. My mom would never leave the store without looking inside first. Still, I didn't argue. I was too confused, too overwhelmed to think straight. We walked past stores I didn't recognize, past a kiosk selling phone cases, past a fountain where kids tossed pennies into the water. Every step took me farther, from where I'd last seen my family. Something gnawed at my stomach, an uneasy feeling that I didn't understand yet. I looked up at the woman, noticing how she kept glancing around like she was checking for something. Or someone. I pulled back a little. Maybe we should ask the mall security for help. She smiled, but her grip on my hand tightened. Oh, we don't need to do that. I'm sure your mom's right outside. Just a little farther, okay? We had reached the mall's main entrance now. The glass doors slid open, and cold December air rushed in. I shivered, but not just from the cold. I didn't see my mom anywhere. And then, just as the woman took another step forward, a voice called out from behind us. "Hey, kid!" I turned. A mall security guard stood near a pretzel stand, his face lighting up with recognition. "Jordan, right?" he said, stepping toward us. "Your mom's been looking for you." The woman let go of my hand so fast it felt like I'd imagined she was holding it at all. "Must have been a mix-up," she said quickly, taking a step back. "I was just trying to help." Before the guard could say anything else, she turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd. The security guard guided me back inside the mall, his presence calming but firm. My hands were still shaking and my heart was racing so fast I felt dizzy. "Your mom is going to be relieved," he said. A few minutes later I spotted her. She was standing near the store entrance talking frantically to another security officer. Leah and Cassie were beside her, their faces pale. "Mom," I called out, my voice cracking. She turned so fast I barely had time to react before she pulled me into a hug. "Oh my God, Jordan," she gasped. "Where were you?" "We've been looking everywhere." I clung to her coat, suddenly feeling safe again. "I got lost. A lady said she'd help me find you, but she was taking me outside." Mom stiffened. "What lady?" I turned, searching the mall, but the woman was gone. We spent the next hour in the mall's security office, talking to the police. I told them everything. The woman's green coat, how she led me toward the exit, how she let go and vanished when the guard called my name. The officers exchanged looks, and that made my stomach twist. "Do you think she was trying to take him?" my mom asked, her voice shaking. One of the officers sighed. "It's possible. This kind of thing happens more than people realize. Someone spots a lost kid, gains their trust, and leads them away." My mom hugged me closer, her arms tightening. The officer continued. "We'll check the security footage. If we find anything, we'll let you know. You did the right thing by calling out to him," he said, nodding at the security guard. The guard just shrugged. I recognized him earlier. He came in with his family, so when I saw him heading for the exit with someone I didn't know, something felt off. I shivered. If he hadn't been there, I didn't want to think about it. That night, I lay in bed replaying everything. The way she smiled, the way she held my hand just a little too tightly, the way she disappeared without a fight. What would have happened if the guard hadn't stopped us? Would she have taken me outside? Would she have shoved me into a car? I never got answers. The police never found her. But I learned something that day. I learned that danger doesn't always look like a villain in a movie. Sometimes it looks like a friendly woman in a green coat. And sometimes the scariest things happen in the places you feel the safest. I've always thought grocery stores at night had an eerie feel to them. Maybe it's the way the fluorescent lights hum just a little too loudly when there aren't many customers. Or maybe it's the emptiness, the long aisles stretching out, like tunnels, filled with nothing but the rustling of plastic packaging and the occasional creak of a shelf. I worked at Daly's Market, a big department store with a full grocery section in a small town in Oregon. It was the kind of place where people did their shopping, paid their bills, and caught up on neighborhood gossip all in one trip. I had been there for about 6 months, mostly working overnight stocking shifts. The job wasn't bad, but it got repetitive. To keep things interesting, my coworkers liked to mess around, making up ghost stories about the store. The most famous one was about the faded man. People see him when they're alone in an aisle. One of the guys, Kevin, had told me one night while we were restocking frozen pizzas. Tall, dressed in all black. His face is always blurry, like it's covered by something. I rolled my eyes. "So we've got our own grocery store cryptid now?" Kevin laughed. "I swear, man, ask anyone. Some of the night guys have seen him." He wasn't the only one who claimed that. Over the next few weeks, I heard more versions of the story. Someone saw him in the stockroom, standing between pallets of canned goods. Another guy swore he caught a glimpse of him slipping into the employee break room but found no one there. No one had proof. No security footage. No pictures. Just whispers. Maybe it's just some weird homeless guy sneaking around, I had said once. But that theory didn't sit right with me. I should have laughed it off like the others. But one night I saw him for myself. And after that, the joke wasn't funny anymore. It was a Wednesday night in October, right before Halloween. I remember that because the store had just set up a big holiday display with giant inflatable pumpkins near the entrance. It was close to 2 a.m., and the store was nearly empty. The only people inside were me, my manager, Rob, and 2 other stockers working in different aisles. I was in the dairy section, stacking milk cartons, when I got that weird feeling. You know the one, the feeling that someone's watching you. I turned my head fast, expecting to see Kevin or another coworker messing with me. Instead, at the far end of the aisle, standing just past the yogurt shelves, was a figure. Tall. Too tall. He was dressed in all black, just like they had said. A hood covered his head and something, maybe a scarf, maybe a mask, was wrapped around his face.
He didn't move. I blinked, trying to process what I was seeing. My brain struggled between logic and fear.
Was this some elaborate prank? A shoplifter? A hallucination from lack of sleep? "Hey," I called out, my voice coming out more uncertain than I wanted. The figure stepped forward. I took a step back. My hands clenched into fists before I even realized it. Every instinct in my body told me something wasn't right. Just as I was about to yell for help, Rob's voice echoed down the aisle. "Hey you, stop right there!" I glanced over my shoulder and saw my manager storming toward us. By the time I looked back, the figure had started moving toward us. Rob wasn't the kind of guy to scare easily. He was an ex-Marine, built like a linebacker, and had been working at Daly's for years. But I swear, for a second, even he hesitated when the figure took another step toward us. "Who the hell are you?" Rob barked. "This is private property. Stop right there." The figure didn't stop. Instead, he turned and bolted. Rob didn't hesitate. "Travis, come on." Adrenaline hit me like a shot of espresso, and suddenly, I was running. The guy was fast, weaving through aisles like he knew the layout better than we did. We chased him past the bread section, through the back of the store, and toward the storage area. He slipped behind a shelf of paper towels and vanished. When we turned the corner, there was nothing. I stopped, panting, scanning the room. Rob checked behind some crates. "Where the hell did he go?" I asked, my voice hoarse. Rob turned to me, his face serious. "Call the cops." The police arrived within 10 minutes. 2 officers swept the store while Rob showed them the security footage. I half expected them to find nothing, like the figure had just disappeared into thin air. But they found something. A hatch. It was a small, barely noticeable door near the back of the stockroom, leading into the crawl space above the store's storage area. One of the officers climbed up and shined a flashlight inside. A second later, he cursed. "Oh, hell no." He backed out, shaking his head. "You guys have got a problem." Inside the crawl space, tucked away between pipes and insulation, was a makeshift campsite. Sleeping bags, empty water bottles, cans of food, even a small battery-powered radio. Whoever had been living there had been there for a long time. Almost a year, according to the police. The cops did a full sweep of the building, but the man was gone. They never caught him. The news hit the next morning. A local homeless man had been using the crawl space as his home, sneaking into the store at night, stealing food, and sleeping above us while we worked. No one knew how he had gone unnoticed for so long. I kept thinking about all the stories I'd heard from my co-workers, all the sightings. None of us had imagined it. The faded man was real. I quit a few months later, but even now, years after that night, I still get uneasy walking into grocery stores late at night. Because sometimes the scariest things aren't ghosts or legends. They're real people, hiding just out of sight. I started working at Bennett's Grocery in the summer of 2018. It was a decent enough job, minimum wage, long shifts, and the usual mix of rude customers and friendly regulars. It wasn't my dream career, but it paid my bills and kept gas in my car while I figured out what I wanted to do with my life. Most days were uneventful. I stocked shelves, ran the register, and listened to my coworkers complain about management. We had our usual customers, the elderly couple who came in every morning for their newspaper and coffee, the mom with 3 screaming kids who somehow never had her rewards card, and the high schoolers who tried to sneak beer past self-checkout. And then there was Mark. He first showed up in early September. He was in his late 40s, maybe 50, with graying hair and deep-set blue eyes. He was polite, always smiling, always making conversation. Nothing seemed off about him. If anything, he came across as one of the nicer customers. He told me he was shopping for his niece, a little girl who loved candy and coloring books. Every few days he'd come in and buy something small, gummy bears, a box of crayons, a tiny stuffed animal. He'd chat with me at the register, asking about my day, joking about how kids these days had it easy. I didn't think much of it at first. We had regulars like that, people who just wanted to talk. I was friendly back, like I was with everyone else. Then his visits became more frequent. At first he came in every few days. Then it was every day. Then multiple times a day. Still, I brushed it off. Maybe he was just lonely. Maybe he had no family around. It wasn't until he stopped buying things that I started to feel uneasy. Because suddenly Mark wasn't coming in for candy or coloring books anymore. He was just coming in for me. At first I told myself I was overreacting. Mark was just a regular, right? Maybe he liked talking to people, but then things got weird. One evening, I was working the closing shift when I noticed him standing in an aisle just staring at me. He wasn't shopping. He wasn't holding anything. He was just watching. I tried to ignore it. I focused on scanning items, making small talk with customers. But every time I glanced up, he was still there. When I moved to another register, he followed. After a while, he left without buying anything. I let out a breath of relief, but something about it nagged at me. The next day, I came in for an afternoon shift, and one of my coworkers, Danny, pulled me aside. "Hey," she said, "that guy Mark, he was here earlier asking about you." I frowned. "What do you mean?" "He wanted to know if you were working today." When I told him I wasn't sure, he just hung around for a while and then left. A chill ran down my spine. Later that night, when I stepped outside for my break, I saw him, standing across the parking lot. Not shopping, not heading to his car, just standing there watching the store. I told myself maybe he was waiting for someone. Maybe it was just a coincidence, but deep down, I knew better. By the end of the week, Mark wasn't just showing up during my shifts. He was showing up on my days off. Danny texted me on my morning off. "Your friend was here again. Asked when you'd be back." That night I came in for a closing shift, and before I even clocked in, my manager pulled me aside. "Justin, do you know a guy named Mark?" My stomach dropped. "Yeah. Why?" "He's been coming in a lot, hanging around without buying anything. He was outside last night after we closed. Security asked him to leave." That was the moment I knew I couldn't brush it off anymore. Mark wasn't just a customer. He was watching me. I started feeling paranoid. Every time I walked to my car, I looked over my shoulder. Every time the door chimed, I tensed up, waiting to see if it was him. And then one night I walked outside after my shift and saw him standing by my car, waiting. I froze. My keys were in my hand, my car just a few steps away. Mark was leaning against the hood, his hands in his pockets, looking right at me. "Hey, Justin," he said, smiling like we were old friends. "Didn't see you in the store today." I forced a laugh, trying to act normal. "Yeah, I was off." "You're off a lot lately," he said, tilting his head. "I was starting to think you were avoiding me." My throat went dry. I glanced toward the store, hoping someone else was coming out, but the parking lot was nearly empty. I didn't know what to say. My pulse pounded in my ears. Every instinct told me to get in my car and leave. Before I could move, I heard footsteps. "Hey, Justin." I turned to see Danny walking toward me, keys in hand. She was parked a few spaces down, and I had never been so relieved to see her. She barely glanced at Mark. "Ready to go?" I didn't hesitate. "Yeah." I gave Mark a quick nod, then walked with Danny to her car. My hands shook as I buckled my seatbelt. When we pulled out, I looked back. Mark was still there, just watching. After that night, I told my manager everything. He called the police, but they said there wasn't much they could do. Mark hadn't threatened me. He hadn't touched me. He hadn't technically broken any laws. Still, they agreed to have a patrol car drive by the store at closing time for the next few weeks. But Mark never came back. No one saw him at the store again. It was like he had just disappeared. I should have felt relieved, but I didn't. I spent weeks looking over my shoulder, waiting for him to show up again. I never saw him after that. But even now, years later, I still get uneasy in parking lots at night. Because sometimes the scariest people aren't strangers in dark alleys. Sometimes they're the ones who smile at you over a grocery store counter. I never planned on working in grocery store maintenance. It wasn't exactly a childhood dream of mine to fix broken freezers and replace flickering fluorescent lights. But life doesn't always go the way you expect, and in 2021, I found myself working nights at Hartford's Grocery, a small but busy store in Cleveland, Ohio. At the time, I had just turned 27. I had bounced between jobs, construction, warehouse work, even a brief stint at a car dealership, but none of them stuck. When a buddy of mine told me about an opening at Hartford's, I took it. The pay was decent, the hours were steady, and it wasn't backbreaking work like some of the other jobs I'd had. For the most part, my shifts were routine. I fixed leaks in the ceiling when the pipes acted up, unclogged drains in the back, storage area, and occasionally helped the night crew when one of the older refrigerators needed maintenance. It wasn't glamorous, but it was quiet. I liked working alone. The only part of the store that gave me the creeps was the basement. Hartford's was built in the late 70s, and like a lot of older stores, it had a basement that was used for extra storage. My boss Dan told me the store used to have a separate butcher shop down there, but it had shut down years ago. Now it was just a place for old equipment, broken carts, and stuff that no one had bothered to throw away. I didn't go down there often, but when I did, I always felt uneasy. The air was thick, almost stale, like it hadn't been disturbed in years. The lights were dim, the walls cracked and peeling. Something about it just didn't feel right. One night I found something down there that changed the way I looked at that place forever. It started with a routine repair. One of the night shift workers had reported a busted drain in the back storage area, and Dan asked me to check it out before my shift ended. I grabbed my toolkit and headed down into the basement, trying to ignore that weird feeling I always got. The drain issue didn't take long, but as I was packing up my tools, I noticed something strange. Against the far wall, behind a pile of broken shelves and old display cases, was a door I had never seen before. It was metal, rusted at the hinges, with no handle on the outside. I frowned. I had been in that basement at least a dozen times. How had I never noticed a door back there? Curiosity got the best of me. I moved some of the junk out of the way and gave the door a push. It didn't budge at first, but after a few hard shoves, it creaked open, revealing a dark, windowless room. I pulled out my phone and turned on the flashlight. Inside were mannequins, at least a dozen of them standing in the dim light. Some were missing arms or legs. Their plastic faces were covered in dust, their hollow eyes staring into the darkness. Beside them were old unused cash registers stacked on wooden pallets. Cardboard boxes lined the walls, some open, some sealed shut with brittle packing tape. It looked like the store had been using this room for storage, but something felt off. Then I looked inside one of the boxes, and my stomach dropped. Inside the first box, I found wallets, dozens of them. Some were old and cracked, others still in good shape. I picked one up and opened it. Inside was an expired Ohio driver's license from 2008, a few crumpled bills, credit cards that hadn't been used in years. I opened another box. Keys. House keys, car keys, keychains with little charms on them. They jingled as I ran my fingers through them, like a pile of loose change. I checked a third box. Cell phones. Most of them were outdated, flip phones and early smartphones covered in dust. Some still had stickers from old service providers. I swallowed hard, my pulse pounding in my ears. What the hell was all this? I dug deeper, checking more boxes. Old purses, receipts, watches, even a few pairs of sunglasses. It was like a lost and found collection, except nothing here had been returned to its owner. That's when I noticed something else. The dates. Some of the receipts and cards had dates on them, and most were from 15 years ago. The most recent one was from 2011. I stepped back, suddenly feeling like I had just stumbled into something I wasn't supposed to see. Who had put all this stuff down here? And why had it been hidden for so long? I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to shut the door and pretend I had never found it. But another part of me knew this was serious. Someone had been collecting these items for years. I went upstairs and found Dan. He was in his office, filling out inventory reports. "Hey, Dan," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "You ever hear anything about a hidden storage room in the basement?" He looked up, confused. "Storage? Room? Yeah. Back wall, behind some old shelves. It's got mannequins, old registers, a bunch of other stuff." Dan frowned. "That doesn't sound familiar. Show me." I led him downstairs and pushed open the door again. I watched as Dan's expression shifted from confusion to concern. "What the hell is this?" he muttered, stepping inside. He picked up a wallet from one of the boxes, flipping through the contents. "This stuff is old." I hesitated before asking, "You ever hear about anyone taking things from customers?" Dan exhaled, rubbing his jaw. "Now that you mention it, we had a security guard years ago, back in the mid-2000s. Guy named Raymond. Worked nights, older guy, real quiet. He got fired in 2011. "Why?" Dan sighed. "Customers started complaining about missing items. Small stuff, wallets, keys, purses. We could never prove anything, but management let him go. He disappeared after that." I stared at the boxes, my skin crawling. "Do you think it was him?" Dan didn't answer right away. Then he pulled out his phone. "I'm calling the cops." The police showed up within an hour. They took pictures, bagged some of the items, and asked us questions. I told them everything. How I found the door, what was inside, what Dan had told me about Raymond. One of the officers, a guy in his 50s with a serious expression, shook his head. If this was him, he was stealing for years. "What happens now?" I asked. "We'll try to track down some of the people these items belong to," the officer said. "And we'll look into this Raymond guy, see if he ever turned up anywhere." That was the last time I ever stepped foot in that basement. A week later, I quit. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had been working above a secret for months, completely unaware. The idea that someone had been stealing from shoppers for over a decade, hiding everything just below our feet, made my skin crawl. I still don't know if the cops ever found Raymond, and I don't think I want to know.